Good afternoon, my students and other learners. Welcome to our today's lesson, which is on operating system. My name is Patricia. Operating systems. It is a set of programs that is used to manage the basic hardware resources of a computer. It also controls the execution of user applications and enables the user to access the hardware and software resources of a computer. These resources include hardware and software resources, things like keyboard, mouse, application software, system software. Features of an operating system. These we have reliability. OS is at least reliable, is the hardware on which it runs. And then we have protection. This is on the security part of the OS. It's a bit secure because the users can use passwords and usernames to protect their data. Efficient. The OS is usually a complex program, and it makes sure that it is efficient for the user when he is using the hardware resources for its own function. Then convenient. The OS should be flexible and convenient to the user. Classification of operating system. It can be classified according to 3. We have 1, the number of tasks that system can perform concurrently. Number 2, the number of users the system can support at the same time. And number 3 is human-computer interface. So we are beginning with number 1, which is the number of tasks. We have single tasking and multitasking operating system. In single tasking operating system, this OS allows only one task to be processed at a specific time. While multitasking, it allows many jobs, many tasks to be processed concurrently. Number 2 is on number of users it can support. 1, single user operating system. Under this, the OS can only allow one user to operate that system at a specific time. While multi-user operating system, it allows several users to use that system concurrently. Human-computer interface. Under this, we have command line, which allows the user to type the commands on the command line so that he can be able to perform a specific task. Like, for example, if it is printing, you have to use PRNT, which stands for printing, while using maybe DOS. So example of this operating system, we have DOS, disk operating system. Menu-driven interface. This type allows users or gives the users the option of scrolling from a menu and choosing commands from the menu depending on what the user wants the task to be accomplished. Graphical user interface. In this, it allows the user to choose from the graphics on the screen, from icons or buttons that are provided on the screen, depending on the task to be performed. Apart from the types, we have examples of operating systems. One is disk operating system. 2, we have Windows. operating system, and there are many under this. We have Windows 98, 95, 2000, 2003, Windows 2010, Windows XP, Windows Vista. So there are so many types of Windows operating system. We also have Macintosh, which also, in short, you can call it MacOS. We also have Unix. We also have Linux, like Ubuntu. Ubuntu is an example of Linux operating system. Then nowadays we have Android. Android, it's only applied or applicable on the smartphones. Functions of operating systems. Processor management. It is the work of the OS to manage the CPU. It is the one to know which task to be processed at this time. After this task has already been processed, which one to be on the queue, followed by which, and so on. So it manages the processor on which tasks to be processed at what time. Then again, we have memory allocation and also loading of programs. When you try to open a program, application program or package like MS Word, there is somewhere it resides, so it has to be loaded by the OS from the memory, so that you can see it on the screen, so that you can use it. Apart from loading of programs, we have memory allocation. When you want to save a document, it is the work of OS to allocate the memory for that document, which fits into that document. When you want to open a saved document, the OS has to allocate it where you saved it, then it opens it for you to use on the screen. Input-output devices management. The OS has to manage the input devices like mouse, keyboard. When you are clicking, it is the one to manage it and control it. When you want the data to be displayed on the screen, it is OS to manage the screen or monitor. When you want it to be printed, it is the OS to print, to make sure that the printer has done what you have commanded it to do. Then we have file management. The work of OS in file management is to make sure that the files are managed well on the memory. It makes sure that every file fits in the memory size that is designed, or that is fitting that document. Then job scheduling. This is like a timetable of the jobs that needs to be processed in the processor. So the OS has to arrange which tasks are to be processed at what time. Job sequencing. The OS keeps a list of jobs or tasks that are being processed or that currently are running in the processor. Resource control allocation. The OS has to control the selection, the operation of hardware devices such as input, output, and storage devices. Error reporting. It is the work of OS to monitor the status of the computer system, to perform some error checks, and report to the user on the screen whether there is any error. Interrupt handling. It is the work of OS to monitor and report to the user if there is any interrupt. This is done by using a special number called interrupt request number, and the control is passed to the kernel by the OS, which determines the cause of interrupt. By doing so, it will be able to know how to deal with interrupt, which will also help the user to correct it. Apart from that, we also have the factors to consider when you are choosing an operating system. These are things like hardware configuration of the computer. You have to check on the RAM, memory size. You have to check on the capacity of the disk and the type of the processor. Then also you can check on the design of the computer, that is, if it is an IBM, if it is an Apple computer. So you have to know which design of the computer that you are using before buying an OS. Then hardware compatibility. You have to check on the fitting, whether OS that you are buying is fitting with the hardware that you have at hand. User needs. So this one you have to check on the requirements and application intended for the use of that computer. Availability in the market. We have to check on whether the OS, you have to go looking for it and in so many markets or in far places. Then portability. This is the ability of copying, making copies of the same OS from one machine to another. So are you able to install it in several different computer families? Then the costs. You have to check on how expensive is that OS that you're buying. User friendliness. This one you have to check on how easy is it for the user to learn how to use it. Like for example, the command line based OS is not easy to learn, but menu driven and the graphical user interface, they are easy to learn. Then reliability. You have to check on whether the OS can work for a long time without crashing, without hanging, and so on. So thank you for attending my lesson. Welcome back some other time.